ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Today from Nashville, Tennessee, the tour moving on from here to the Valley of the Sun. Next Friday night out at Phoenix International Raceway, then Fort Worth, Texas, Talladega, Alabama, Richmond, Darlington, and more. If you'd like to join us at any of those races, log on to NASCAR.com/tickets and find out how to be there in person. Just past the one-quarter mark of today's race here in Nashville, 61 of 225 laps complete. Joey Logano has opened up a little bit of a gap on Brad Keselowski since their side-by-side duel on the restart. 5 different leaders, 3 caution flags so far, and Joey Logano has led the most laps in the race so far. Let's get you up to speed on how some of the front runners are cruising along. The leader is Vince Welch. He's on patrol there. Vince, what's Logano saying?
Well, Joey Logano has been real good on the track. His team hasn't been so good in the pits. They cost him 2 spots on that first stop, and Kevin Kidd, the crew chief, got on his crew saying we've got to be better because we're good on the track. And Joey Logano says the car is a little bit tight when he moves up a lane, but otherwise he is by far the fastest on the track, a 10th of that last lap. Now the 22 is Brad Keselowski. He's running second. When Keselowski was out front a little while ago, he said, oh, clean air is my friend, but he's obviously not nearly as quick as Logano. Keselowski says the car is a little bit too loose in the center. Third place is Kevin Harvick, and remember, Harvick said he thought his car would be better on the long run, and Harvick's prediction is starting to pan out. He says the car is actually pretty good, pretty comfortable. They always deal with certain aspects on this racetrack, generally tight in the center, but Harvick says the car is rolling through fairly well. Dave?
And Kyle Busch would agree with that. Kyle's car got a little bit better, but he's gone to analyzing the car in front of him to say how much better it's getting off the corner. Crew chief Jason Ratcliffe says, yeah, I see that. It looks like he's going to knock the wall down when he exits the corner, and then somehow it digs right in. They'll work on that information, see if they can employ it on the 18, Jamie.
And another black and red car behind him, Justin Allgaier, your Bristol winner, calls this track his Achilles heel. For example, right now with the way the conditions are, he's saying his car is loose one lap, and then the next lap it's tight. He's having a hard time finding consistency. He lost 3 positions in the pits on that first round of pit stops. He's slowly trying to make it out. Now behind him in the 32, Reed Sorensen making just his 2nd start of the season. He's scheduled for 27 races this year with Braun Racing. This weekend having fun in Nashville with Dollar General, his sponsor for this race. He was a guest announcer at the Grand Ole Opry. If you're a country music fan, you know all about that. And it's continuing. His car is great, just a little loose, but he's happy, Doc.
Jamie, behind him in 7th spot is Scott Wimmer, who started the race back in 17th. Has driven up as high as 5th, slid back to 9th, and is now driven back up to 7th. We mentioned he is auditioning for a ride. Will be out of this car after this weekend. Remember, Tony Eury Jr. is the crew chief. He has never had a race car at this racetrack, so new to him, but Wimmer is a veteran here. He has top 10 finishes in 8 of 11 starts here, including a win. Now, behind Wimmer, the car he just passed, back in 8th position, is a 3-time winner here at Nashville, and that is Carl Edwards. Carl said a moment ago he just barely scraped the wall. So the car's a little bit free going in, tight in the middle, and he's asking in the next pit stop to give me some grip to get up off the corner. He did the tire test here and felt he will have a car that will be a contender in the final 100 laps. Vince.
Well, in the 9th spot is at 15 of Michael Annett. Annett, a 2nd-year driver. You know, last year he was impressive as a rookie. This year he's already 7 spots better in the points than he was here a year ago at this point in the season. So Annett expects big things. He likes this racetrack, and so far the car is pretty good. He says it's a little bit free off, and he feels like it's rolling under in the middle of the turns. But he's moved up 3 spots since the start. Looking good so far in the 15, Michael Annett, Doc.
Back behind him in 10th position is Paul Menard, who was quietly having a very good year in both the NASCAR Nationwide Series and NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. The first time he has ever run both series full-time. He is 7th in the Nationwide points, 11th in the Cup points, and the reason is that they believe that he is getting good track time, lots of seat time on the racetrack. So a good effort for Paul Menard. He says this set of tires a little tighter than the first set. And back behind him is the 11th car. And what an effort here. This car, you know, one of the Braun Racing cars for Brian Scott, an impressive rookie driver. Remember, he's driving with that injured right wrist. He's had a couple of MRIs. They thought the car was a handful in practice and a handful in qualifying, but it's really come to bear here in the early laps of the race. They are anticipating a top 10 finish. Dave.
Shelby Howard having a good run. He restarted right now in the 16th position. And at checking with crew chief Chris Rice, he's better than they were the first run. They made a slight air pressure adjustment. The car is still a little bit tight, but Shelby able to handle it a little bit better, and now making up positions. Right behind him, the 99 of Trevor Bayne. He's not having such a good time. That car is loose center off. He says the front end is more stable with the adjustment you made, but it makes it snappy loose in the center of the corner. They think they're going to take a spring rubber out of the right rear on the next stop, perhaps. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. And you see Brendan Gaughan in the 62 there, challenging Bayne for that 13th position. Gaughan took the green flag back in 21st spot. So, well, look out. Hang on to it. Don't lose it there when we got the spotlight on you.
Guys are digging real hard, trying to get that groove. That groove on the bottom, though, Alan, is really, really slick still. Guys really trying to arc their cars, utilize as much space they can. Brendan and Trevor racing real hard side by side there.
And James Busher in the 1 coming into the picture, as well as Michael McDowell in the 81. Busher, by the way, the biggest mover in the race so far. You see, up 24 positions since the drop of the green flag. You touched on something there, Brad, I want to follow up on with our analysts.
Yeah.
We talked about a couple things during the race. The morning rains washing the rubber off the track and how soon the track would rubber in. And also, Carl Edwards talking about how with this tire that Goodyear's brought here, he felt like he was able to use the rear tires of the car to drive it. And I wonder if that's why we're seeing both of those things. Dale Jarrett and Ricky Craven, this outside lane be more usable than normally we see it early in a Nashville race.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Alan. I believe that, what Carl talked about the tire, he was here with the tire test, and even though it was really cold during that tire test, they felt like that they had really done a good job in getting something that would rotate in the center of the corner. And when you make a tire work with the racetrack like that, then you'll find really good things and be able to race all around, Ricky.
Yeah, I agree. And on top of that, Dale, is that at this track, you're not going to have a perfect car. You're either going to be tight or loose. So pick your poison. If you're going to win the race, you got to be loose, and you got to be able to drive it loose. Carl Edwards can.
You saw that pass for Michael McDowell. He moves into 15th. That's how far behind the race leader he is. That's Joey Logano with a 6/10 of a second lead. We can tell you now that Morgan Shepherd is out of the race. We already mentioned Mark Green, Kevin LePage, Danny O'Quinn. Tony Raines has pulled his car behind the wall for repairs. Stay with us.